It's time for race 2 in GT Cup Europe at the third round of the season. We'll be halfway through the 2026 campaign when the checkered flag falls. 50 minutes of racing to come before then, though. And the big story of qualifying is that the top 2 in the championship are starting either end of the grid. Matteo Lovisi made it 3 out of 3 in 2026 for qualifying sessions, putting the championship contending Fimes team car on pole position. But the championship leaders, Paul Meyer from the Hans Weiss Motorsport crew, starting 18th and last after his one and only push lap in qualifying was deleted for a track limits infringement. Hans Weiss Motorsport attempting to save some tyre life for the race. It backfired, and now Paul Meyer has got an awful lot of work to do. And just to rub a little bit more salt on the wounds, he's going to have to take 10 seconds of handicap when he hands over the car to Jurien de Back. Today could be a monumentally important day for the championship when we round out the season in Barcelona in October. Chris Stevens and George Morgan joining you for the next 50 minutes of racing. George, this could be a very decisive day.
Yes, and it's largely quite significant, that decision that Hans Weiss Motorsport made in terms of bringing that car in and bringing an early close to their qualifying session with what they believe to be Paul Meyer's well, it would have been his 3rd pole position of the season and continuing his vast run that he has amassed ever since last year. Well, it's now a very different complexion. Obviously starting from the very back of the grid, it means now that it's going to be an outright mission for him to try and achieve the victory that we all believed he would have done had he started on pole position, just due to the very nature that the handicap that he had yesterday has simply been halved after finishing 6th place in yesterday's race. But never say never. Things do happen in the GT Cup Europe Championship. You never know, a safety car may become his saving grace. The odd red flag could sometimes turn things around. Obviously, we hope that that will not be the case, so, but nevertheless, Paul Meyer, where it comes to driving a Porsche car, he is an absolute machine, and has proven time and time again that he is the class of this field. Elsewhere, though, Matteo Lovisi, who comes into his home weekend, resident Italian here at Misano, ever supported by his father, who travels with him to every single race weekend, and now standing aboard that pole position at the front end of the grid in the Fimes team car that tasted championship success 12 months ago. And he's hoping that alongside Pietro Deli Guanti, they can allow lightning to strike twice here in the series this season.
Of course, had that lap for Paul Meyer stood, both of our top 2 in the championship would have been starting on the front row of the grid, but Paul Meyer with a significant advantage in that they have half of the handicap.
Correct.
That their title rivals take 20 seconds for the number 1 Fimes team car, 10 seconds for the number 7. It's Ludovico Longoni now who starts on the front row of the grid. ZRS Motorsport number 22 Porsche that won yesterday with Longoni and Simone Iaquinta, who put that car on pole position in Q1. So ZRS Motorsport getting the monkey off their back and finally bagging their first win of the season. Up until this point, it had been Fimes team and Hans Weiss Motorsport who have been sharing those honours. Same with pole positions as well. So GT Cup's first visit to Misano has really thrown up a few surprises. Elsewhere to look at, we have the Pro-Am battle. Fabio Babini, I think the only pro to take to the wheel for Q2. And so Babini will try and take an early march, I'm sure, for the Tsunami Racing team. The rest of those Pro-Am cars are all starting towards the rear of the field. And Dieter Streps in the car that won in the AM category yesterday for LMR Motorsport, the number 911. Starting on pole position in that category as well, in 6th position overall. Finally bagging their first win as well, LMR, yesterday, after a myriad of technical and mechanical problems that have plagued their season so far. The grid filled with the various entourages and mechanics. It's a hot day here in Misano, and I wouldn't want to be in those fireproof overalls, that's for sure.
Our first vendor to the Adriatic here in Misano in the history of the GT Sports organisation, and by extension the GT Cup Europe Championship. We now watch Flavio Sampaio as part of the LMR crew make his way around the final corner. They'll be serving an additional 5 seconds on top of the mandated 65 that every driver must observe as standard when the driver change window does open up. That will, of course, be 21 minutes into the race. There's the sister LMR car, Dieter Schmeps, taking a resounding AM-class victory yesterday alongside Leandro Martins. And bear in mind, this was the car that started from the very back of the grid after the oil leak that they sustained in Q1 right at the very start of the session, bringing an unceremonious end to their time in qualifying yesterday. Well, they've turned things around somewhat because they are the highest AM runner amongst the starting grid for this one, especially after what they did in qualifying 2 earlier on. As we now take a look at the P2, Ludovico Longoni, winners yesterday alongside his teammates. Obviously, the 22 car also driven by Simone Quinta, and looking to go back to back, but it's going to be very tough to do that with the 10 seconds that they've also applied. But equally, there's quite a few drivers and teams that have got the same concerns, so it might be underwritten at this point.
May well be. ZRS Motorsport moving up to 3rd in the championship now after their first win yesterday on 35 points. Jurien de Back and Paul Meyer now just 3 points clear of Matteo Lovisi and Pietro Deli Guanti on 57 and 54 points respectively. Diego Stifter be hoping all 4 tyres were attached a little bit more securely to that bi-race Motorsport Porsche than when Ludovico Larini went out in the car for the start yesterday. The right rear bouncing off of the Armco barriers at the end of the first lap. But Stifter putting it on the 3rd row of the grid. We can take a look further back at some of the AM runners. Fernando Navarrete now 2nd in the AM Championship after a podium finish yesterday for that Tsunami Run squad. And Evgeny Leonov back with us in the Volcano Motorsport Porsche, returned to the championship a few weeks ago at Spa. He was also on the podium yesterday, 2nd in the AM category. And what can Jose Barros do from 9th on the grid? We think his first visit to Misano in that AF Motorsport Run Porsche.
Last time they actually touched the podium was back in the first round and then the first race at Portimao. 2nd place, Giacomo Gibergia lines up alongside H. de Mello. They will appear from the 10th spot, of course, fighting for AM honours, and have been fighting at the front end of the order. But there is a huge littering of handicaps for the start of this one. Quite a few drivers, well, a couple of them starting with 20 seconds, a few starting with 10 as well, sprinkling of 5s here and there. There's actually only a minute few that are starting handicapless.
Let's take a look back at what happened yesterday. It was Ludovico Longoni who started the ZRS car from pole position, closely followed by Pietro Deli Guanti in the Fimes team car. Some cars having to take to the extremities of the racetrack, but a clean run nonetheless until the bi-race Porsche, a right rear wheel making a bid for freedom out of the final corner. Ludovico Larini having to park that car at the end of the first lap. We had a safety car because of that one. Driver change window opened halfway through the race. ZRS Motorsport in contention. Paul Meyer aboard the number 7 car began to fight through the field, but a steering problem rather hampered his progress. We saw the Zanassi Ferrari making its way to the podium, but it was ZRS Motorsport on top for the first time in 2026 as Zanassi Racing's Andrea Beligi made his way onto the podium on the final lap, denying Fimes team a double podium finish. ZRS Motorsport on top for the first time in 2026. This is what it's done to the championship. Still Paul Meyer and Jurien de Back who lead the championship, but now just 3 points separating them from Pietro Deli Guanti and Matteo Lovisi. ZRS Motorsport now up to 3rd in the standings. Race 2 about to get underway. 50 minutes of racing to come. Here is how they line up. Matteo Lovisi makes it 3 out of 3 in 2026 for pole positions, starting the number 1 from pole position. Yesterday's race winner, Ludovico Longoni, starts alongside him for ZRS Motorsport. Fabio Babini on Pro-Am pole position for Tsunami Racing Team, and the 2nd Fimes team car lining up 4th on the grid with Giacomo Pedrini in the number 27. Diego Stifter for bi-race starts 5th alongside the AM pole sitter Dieter Swips, yesterday's race winner in the 911 car from LMR Motorsport. Then comes Fernando Navarrete, also on the podium yesterday, and Evgeny Leonov, also on the podium yesterday for Volcano Motorsport. Jose Barros for AF Motorsport starts 9th, ahead of Giacomo Gibergia for GDL Racing. That car did not finish yesterday. He'll be hoping to make up for that. 11th is Pierluigi Alessandri in the Target Racing Ferrari. Rick van Zweden starts the championship-leading AM car from Hans Weiss Motorsport in 12th, ahead of Alejandro Barambio, the Pro-Am Championship leader for GT Corsa, and then Fagane Saluba. Nelson Monteiro in 87 for GDR Racing is 15th, then Flavio Sampaio in the second LMR Motorsport car starts in 16th position. Stefano Zerbi starts the 55 SP Racing car from 17th. At the back of the grid, championship leader Paul Meyer, the top two in the championship, either ends of the grid.
Well, if you're going to end your pole position streak in qualifying, couldn't get it done more dramatically than starting from the very back of the grid after having that time deleted. Matteo Lovisi handed a huge and ripe opportunity here, but bear in mind they do have 20 seconds of handicap to service. The cars that don't have handicaps, the Bi-Race Motorsport team, obviously with Diego Stifter, Ludovico Laurini, Target Racing's Pierluigi Alessandri, also Tsunami RT, Navarrete and Martinez, Pedrera Martinez that is, and aside from that we also have Martinelli Pedrini as part of Fime's team as well, Zerbi and Russo, and then also Jose Barros, one to watch, Nelson Montero and Marcondes, also handicapless. So keep your eyes on those. They are the rare few that will not be serving additional time on top of the 65.
Well, as we saw in the championship standings, it's only 3 points between the top two. GT Corsa starting to build an advantage in the Pro-Am Championship. 7 points clear of Fagane Saluba and Lars Zainu. And then in the AM Championship, it's still Hans Weiss and Rick van Zweden who lead the way, but now only 4 points clear of Navarrete and Pedrera from Tsunami Racing Team. Keep an eye out on that over the course of the next 50 minutes of racing. Matteo Lovisi in the green Porsche from Fime's team, and then the red and white ZRS Porsche alongside him. Lovisi and Meyer going for the championship on either ends of the grid. We're racing for the second time in Misano. And Matteo Lovisi leads them down into the first corner. He will have the inside line. Look at Diego Stifter, tight to the inside. Dieter Schwetz making contact there with the second Fimes car of Pedrini. Straight on goes the Target Racing Ferrari, but it's Lovisi who leads out of turn 2 into 3 for the first time of asking. The Target Racing car rejoining the racetrack out of turn 3. Hopefully able to continue without too much damage, but Diego Stifter up to second place, passing Babini and Longoni at the start of the race.
Yeah, Babini's still looking solid though, third place, and is now right in the coattails of Diego Stifter for the Bi-Race team. Further back, we witness Alessandri finally make his way back out onto the track after that extensive period of time off circuit and into the grasses. Now Babini looks to go late into Quercia. Very close there to the Bi-Race Porsche in front over that second place. There's the Target Racing Ferrari wheel to wheel. Alessandri now looking to tussle with fellow AM contender Navarrete over that P7. Wheel to wheel further up. Babini forces his way through, and Diego Stifter feeling that might have been a little too stiff, looking to reply but couldn't. Babini up into second.
All over the curbing, and a bit of contact made between the second and third place cars as Barros is getting his elbows out there, and Stifter trying to take second place back straight away. Paul Meyer already up to 10th position. There he is on the inside, the red-trimmed Hans Weiss Motorsport car, the white and black machine. Great job there from Paul Meyer, making up 8 places already from his starting position. He will not be done just yet. You see the GT Corsa car there on the inside. That's the Pro-Am Championship leader of Alejandro Barambio, second in class, as goes around the outside of Evgeny Leonov there, and to the inside goes Diego Stifter on the Target Ferrari. But it's Matteo Lovisi who leads at the end of the first lap. Fabio Babini in second place, just 0.3 of a second separate them as they go over the timing line. And Babini trying to go for the lead now as Lovisi runs a little bit wide through turn 2, side by side further back, but it's Stifter in third, Longoni in fourth, Pedrini down to 5th. After starting on the second row of the grid. And Paul Meyer now up to 7th. He's made up 3 more places since we checked in with him at the end of the second timing split. So Paul Meyer only 3.6 off the race lead and still charging his way through the pack.
The Flying Dutchman is on a mission. Venomous in the opening lap, managing to accrue the vast number of places. Now on the coattails this time of Jose Barros. This is a battle over P6, and Paul Meyer, remember, 10 seconds is all he serves additional to the 65, and all over the tail of Barros now as they come down through towards the next segments of right-handers. Further back, you've got Dieter Schweppes forcing himself around the outside of Fernando Navarrete, at least trying to, but was denied. They've got the back straight to come now, though. It's Levisi, Babini, 3/10s between them. Maya now looking to the inside now, this time on Barros. Swaps to the outside. Barros trying to cover him off. Back comes Maya again, just tucking into the inside. May choose Caro corner as he looks to take the fast right-hander. Can't quite find the answer. Barros forcing him behind, forcing him to lying wait. Maya keen to do the damage on this integral initial stint.
So Navarrete has passed Schweppes for the lead in the AM category. That's the battle we can see behind there. Tsunami Racing leading the way there as Barros gets well out of shape through the penultimate corner and was at a lock-up, a bit of contact there as Maya made his way through on the inside. Barros left the door open and Maya does eventually go through into 6th position. But I wonder if that will be disputed, because I think there was definitely a touch between those two cars. And
Navarrete firing the warning signals as well to Barros in front, because of course he's still busy trying to deal with Dieter Schweppes over that AM lead.
Barros, I think, has got a problem. He's struggling with that car, and I hope he hasn't picked up a slow puncture as a result of that contact.
It could have been a trip to the gravel, may have caught the curb wrong or something, you never know. We'll have to wait and see, or indeed it may have been that little bit of contact that he had with Paul Maya coming around the final bend that might have done it. Of course, it was a slight error coming through the penultimate corner and then into the latter corner, the later corner. The final bend as now we take a look at this stunning drone shot. Levisi leads, followed by Babini, leading Pro-Am as well, Babini. And 6/10 behind the Italian, with Stifter in third, Longoni, Pedrini, Maya with the fastest lap of the race so far. No surprises, as now the 911 of Dieter Schweppes once again hunting over that AM lead against Fernando Navarrete, who's holding firm for now. They've got the back straight once again through Cavone. They will go then past turn 11 through towards turn 12, sweeping into 13. They're the AM leaders. They're also on the tail now of Barros. Navarrete looking to try and find the answer. Doesn't want to be left behind Barros and held up to a degree, because that could yet open the door for Dieter Schweppes and LMR, who were on fire yesterday when taking the race win as far as the AM class is concerned. From the very back, here comes Schweppes round the outside, not quite able to find the leverage. Navarrete's exit might be compromised as Maya now swiftly moves on the back of Pedrini.
Yeah, so he's onto the back of his championship rival's teammate, who I'm sure has been told make life incredibly difficult for Paul Maya. Maya to the inside of the first corner, but isn't able to draw the overlaps, has to bail out of that one. Maya with the fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly, a 36.9, quicker than the race leader by a 1/10 of a second. He's well within this fight now, diving to the inside at turn 4. Again, Pedrini is able to close the door. Maya looking one way and then the other, trying to get around this car. Out of turn 6, down to the back straight, heading towards the Quercia corner. And is this going to be the opportunity for Maya? Pedrini sort of half closing the door. Maya finds back to the inside, goes through on the inside at turn 8. Is just going to squeeze the Fimes car out on the exit of the corner. So Pedrini down to 6th, Maya now up to 5th from the back of the grid.
It's an exhibition here from Paul Maya. Absolutely stunning stuff, I have to say. It's always a pleasure to watch him in action, because he can throw out the unbelievable sometimes. This was the moment for Barros, just the tail whipped out coming through the penultimate corner. This is where the contact may have occurred, so it would have been front right of Maya's car to rear left of Barros. So whether that did cause a slow puncher is a possibility. The tyres may have also felt the penultimate corner a little bit. There was a little bit of smoke coming off the rear left as well. So there's many possibilities in those final two bends that may contribute to Barros's sudden decline in pace right now. He's still got Schweppes to accompany, and we're now rejoining them now, because obviously Schweppes has actually cleared Navarrete over the AM lead and has actually gapped him by 1.2 seconds, and having a look up the inside on Barros, who is simply falling away from the remaining silver drivers in front of him. Here comes Maya on the attack once again. Ludovico Longoni put to bed, and it's 4th place now for the Dutchman.
Paul Maya's 3 seconds off the race lead. We're 7 minutes into this race. Extraordinary stuff.
And not to mention Levisi will have the 20 seconds, which is 10 more than what Mr. Maya is going to accrue. So essentially they can do him in the pit stop phase.
No, they very much can, as long as they stay within those 10 seconds. And with the way that Maya's going at the moment,
I think you'll do it on track, mind you.
Well, maybe. It's certainly a tall order. I was catching up with Edwin Vassenberg from Berger's Race Trailers, a primary sponsor of the Hans Weiss Motorsport crew, just before this race. He's got his whole family here supporting the Hans Weiss Motorsport team. I'm sure some eyebrows would have been raised when they saw their championship leading cars start from the back of the grid. But any questions about that now are going to be well and truly put to bed, as we can see again the race start. Cars fanning out across the racetrack. Look at that, 4-5 abreast for second place effectively. This is how Longoni saw it into the first corner. He's going to lose a couple of places here because Babini is going to fight his way through a little bit later on in the lap. And there is the bi-race car that was going through on the inside, Diego Stifter. So managed to do that out of turn 3. And live pictures in the top right hand of the corner. Stifter getting very sideways out of the final corner, and Meyer goes to the outside, as we see again the move from Babini, but Meyer now up into third position. We can see on the live pictures there.
Yeah, great move there for Paul Meyer. In fact, if you actually have a look at the replay at the start, as we have a look at all the chaos that was accrued on the opening stages of this race, Paul Meyer had actually managed to jump 4 cars alone just on the trail through towards the go. He was just simply, as soon as the lights went green, just so much quicker to respond to the lights, you know, going out after the initial 5 were lit, and then as soon as they went out, he was straight on the power and had managed to make overtakes alone in that segment. And then, of course, the sequential corners, they really did work for him at the same time. He's in the podium places right now. Of course, handicaps do need to be served during the driver change period, which will come around just under 12, in just around 12 minutes time. But the bi-race team now licking their wounds. Diego Stifter joined by Ludovico Longoni, the car that won yesterday's race, now looking to feather its own nest by moving up into P4. The ZRS team riding on a high after yesterday.
That steering warning
I did see that, yes. Yeah.
Dashboard there for Ludovico Longoni. So is that a power steering system issue, I wonder? Because I'd be surprised if there was a pure mechanical issue, whether the system would recognise that. So potentially some sort of steering drama there for the ZRS car.
Yeah, which is the last thing they need right now, but it doesn't seem to be affecting their performance too much. They are still gapping Petrini at the moment at 1.3 seconds. If we take a look at the lap times as well that we have just witnessed, 1:37. It was a personal best over the last lap for Longoni, so it's definitely not affecting their performance out there, and they are faster than Stifter at the moment. Paul Meyer set to 1:36.9. Lavisi was actually faster than him by 0.3, but you can only imagine that perhaps that's Paul Meyer trying to deal with some dirty air in front, or indeed maybe even cars that are ahead of him right now. As we take a look at the other Hans Weiss Motorsport car currently operating inside the AM classification.
Rick Van Zweden at the meet in a GDL sandwich at the moment, with the 87 of Nelson Monteiro Jr. in front of him, and then Giacomo Gibergia behind him. That's for 5th, 6th and 7th in the class. So we're right on board with the Sim Racing Convert, the BMW M2 racer as well, heading down the back straight. Rick Van Zweden, the championship leader, and Giacomo Gibergia, a championship contender there. Dropped to 3rd position in the championship yesterday after their DNF on home soil for Gianluca Di Lorenzi's San Marino-based squad. As Longoni now starting to close in on Diego Stifter, despite that steering warning. Hasn't hampered his pace at all. Meyer closes in on Babini as well. We saw the progress he's been making, a few tenths here, a few tenths there, lap after lap. We're only 11 minutes or so into this race.
Babini versus Meyer is going to be an interesting little fight.
Isn't it just? Been waiting to see that all season long, but...
I'm gutted, actually, we don't have Babini with us in the championship this season full-time as such.
So I think Davide Scanicchio can make the remainder of the season, hopefully. He's been missing the first few rounds owing to some... work-related things he had to take care of. Of course, the amateur driver, they're not full-time racing drivers, many of these guys.
But Babini versus Meyer, very much on the cusp right now. 0.7 of a second between Meyer and Babini, and that's the battle over P2. Lavisi's being allowed to just career away, but don't forget, folks, it's all well and good him putting 3 seconds on Babini. That's nothing compared to the 20-second handicap he's going to have to serve on top of the 65 required seconds that they're going to have to serve. As we can now see Babini making his way out of Quercia corner with Meyer in hot pursuit in the Hans Weiss Motorsport car. Yuri Anderbach will be on standby, waiting for the driver change, but you just simply know that Meyer is going to do the majority of this driver change window period stint. Of course, the actual changeover does start in around 8 minutes and 30, so we've still got some time before that occurs. So you never know. I mean, if Meyer can get past Fabio Babini, they are lapping, I don't want to say relatively similar, because in fact Levisi's been quicker than Meyer so far, and in fact Levisi over the last lap setting the fastest lap of the race for the 1:36.561. So nothing wrong with the Vimes team's pace right now, and obviously the added complication here for Meyer is that he's got to get past a very experienced and talented Fabio Babini, which is why we're all, why our mouths are watering, really, at the prospect of these two tying up as they now head down through towards turn one. Crossing the stripe, last lap, it was a personal best for Babini, 1:36.846, but still slower by 36 thousandths of a second to Paul Meyer, who is digging deeper all the time to try and close the gap, and the gap now is lower than 7.5 tenths. We run on board with the ZRS Motorsports car of Ludovico Longoni. Will be handing over to Simone Quinta. Pietro Armani, we saw him in the garage earlier on supporting his former GT Cup Europe team, of course now representing the team in the International GT Open, and of course making history for the team as well by taking the very first win on this season's calendar at Portimao in race 1. And definitely more in the offing, Pietro Armani discovering his, well, furthering his abilities now in GT racing as opposed to just what he was experiencing in single-seaters, of course. That's where his career quintessentially began, with stints in the Formula Regional European Championship, and now, since then, moving to sports cars, as now we see a big mishmash further back. This is Rick van Zwierden and Giacomo Gierbergia. Gierbergia, the lowest am in the classification at the moment, looking to raise the stakes as they head through the sequence of right-handers. Very tight across the field.
Into turns 9 and 10. And Meyer now on the back of Babini for second place. Less than 4 tenths of a second in it as Babini hooking that car up out of Curva del Carro to the flat-out penultimate corner. This is Babini, the Le Mans winner, Le Mans class winner back in 2001, I want to say.
It's a tough exit there for Babini, actually,
was, wasn't it?
At the final corner, just that rear tyre. He's not the only one to do it. There's been a couple of drivers now that have perhaps, you know, taken that final corner a little bit overzealous, and that just allows Meyer the opportunity to just shrink the gap and then perhaps even find better leverage and momentum through to the, you know, the straight sections where he can flex the muscle of his Porsche machinery for Hans Weiss. Just look at this. Babini has got to keep all his defensive walls up to try and keep this Dutchman behind.
Well, Paul Meyer, who took a long hiatus from racing after winning GT4 European Championship back in 2010, up until a couple of years ago, he rejoined the racing world as a driver. Was previously supported by Jan Lammers. That was his transition from karting into cars, and ever since he's come back, he's just been unstoppable out there. Pro-Am champion of last year with Laura van den Hengel, now going for the overall championship. Got a slow car moving turns 5 and 6 according to our timing screen. We'll keep an eye if anybody starts tumbling down the timing order on our screens. We'll keep an eye on Meyer and Babini for now, because they're heading into the Curva del Carro. That's been the favoured overtaking opportunity throughout this weekend in both the Porsche Cup cars and the GT3s, and indeed the single-seaters in the Euro Formula Open Championship here this weekend. But Meyer's still trailing Babini as they come through the last couple of corners to complete lap 10.
The sheer audacity as well of Paul Meyer, just to blink those lights at Fabio Babini, just letting him know that I am here, and he's just done it again as well, coming out of the final corner. Trying to make an impression, Paul? Well, let's see if you can. Making your way through turn 1. Of course, a marvellous effort to get this far after starting from the very back of the grid. As I said, even at the race start, his sheer reaction time, managing to garner at least 4 places right at the very get-go as the lights went out, and now has forced his way up into 3rd place, and Yuri in the back has enjoyed the show, I'm sure, from the garage as they now swiftly move through the initial corners in this Misano circuit. Quercia corner will then lie in wait at the end of the straight, where they will meet turn 8, and there is Levisi with the fastest lap still against his name. His last lap, 1:36.938. Just look at Babini, just trying to put a stopper in this Meyer momentum that we're witnessing. Of course, still time left until the driver change period. We're under 4 minutes until that window opens. And then, of course, Meyer, I'd imagine, will do the whole stint. But so will likely Fabio Babini, to be honest. So, at the end of the day, Maya's going to be dealing with Fabio Babini, I think, for a good period of time.
Heading down the back straight. Be heading right. These fast sequence of corners, flat out through the first and through the second, and Maya ducking out there. Again, we head to Curva del Caro at turn 14. Maya doesn't quite look close enough. Babini's got this one covered off. Great battle to watch. Babini, hugely experienced, previously a gold-rated driver, but he's of an age now where the FIA will start automatically downgrading you, and so as he turned 56 this year, was downgraded to a silver class driver. Doesn't affect his standing in this championship, though. Still the pro in that Pro-Am entry. Davide Schinicchio will be taking over that car in the second part of the race. You'd expect Jurian de Back to make his way through. And just double checking that the 78 is stationary for 5 seconds less as Maya finally gets the run down the inside into turn 4. That's second place now for Paul Maya.
And that all began coming through turn 2. Babini went slightly sideways and lost all traction and momentum, and it allowed Maya, who had a better exit out of turn 2 through turn 3, to then brush past Fabio Babini. That is a very key overtake here for Paul Maya, because now he can work away with plenty of clean air to close the gap on Levisi. Now, whether he can get the overtake done right now prior to the driver change period, as you know, obviously it will open up, but prior to him jumping out of the car, then that would, I'm sure, be worth all the more, because whilst of course you would expect them to gain the place anyway by sheer handicaps, you know, you'd imagine they'll want to get the job done out on track itself. But this was the moment. A move up the inside. He managed to move side by side with Babini after the run through turns 2 and turns 3 was better served for Paul Maya. He is now up into second place. There's the 911 Porsche of Dieter Schweppes. He's got Jose Barros now behind him, who's been declining in pace as of late. And now Schweppes focusing his attention on Giacomo Pedrini.
So Paul Maya, 4 seconds off the race lead, having come up from the very back of the grid, 18th a second. The driver change window opens in about 90 seconds time, and the first unhandicapped car is Diego Stifter, and he is within 10 seconds of the race leader. That's going to be the reference car, I think, for Levisi and Maya to go up against. Right now would be the by-race car that comes out into the lead of the race after the pit stop window. But of course, Levisi and Maya have got a few more laps to try and stretch that advantage. Schweppes looks at the back of Giacomo Pedrini, the number 27 car, so the AM leader. Pedrini, the former single-seater racer, the 17-year-old who's moved over from Super Trofeo Europe, a race winner in that championship, including on his race debut in Le Castellet.
The ambition clear on Paul Maya now. He's just gone and set a personal best in the clean air inside the first sector, and incidentally that was near a 10.5 quicker than Levisi alone in that first sector at the same time. So I don't think that 3.7 second gap is going to last much longer, if you ask me. Obviously the driver change period extends for a good period of time, a great opportunity for Maya to make the most of it here. We'll see what the remaining splits have to say as well. There is your race leader. I can tell you that Maya in the second sector was incidentally 2.5 tenths quicker than Levisi. So alone on this lap, he's already found 4 to 5 tenths of a second on the race leader. So Maya on a mission. And I'm sure there'll be more to come in the third sector as well. But we wouldn't expect anything less than this from this man as the driver change period does open up. Fabio Babini continuing around. He's also enjoying some freedom in third place, given the nature of the fact that he is 4.7 ahead of Stifter. Levisi in the pits, so race leader coming in, and therefore Pietro Deli Guanti is going to step in. Now remember, 20 seconds of handicap on top of the 65. That means they are serving 85 seconds in total before they head back out onto the track.
So race leader and the championship contending car going for the pit stop at the earliest opportunity, as is ZRS Motorsport, with Ludovico Longoni handing over to Simone Iaquinta. Also in is Rick van Zweden to hand over to Hans Weiss. A look like the GT course car in front of it as well. Alejandro Barambio to hand over to Borja Garcia. They were 27 seconds or so behind their class leader before coming into the pits. So a tall order for Garcia to try and close down that gap to Davide Schinicchio. It will be when the Italian takes over the car in the second part of the race. Giacomo Bergia vacating the number 44 from GDR Racing as well. Cassio De Mello now getting aboard as Stefano Zerbi also climbs out of the 55 from SP. Turned over to Matthias Russo, the former GT2 and European Le Mans Series racer. Lamar also in the pits with the number 11. So it's the top 10 who've stayed out for now. And Paul Meyer now leads this race, owes us the stop, of course, but is on course to jump that Fimes team car in this pit stop sequence. The crucial difference is going to be where does the bi-race car come out, and that car has just come into pit lane. Diego Stifter bringing the number 4 machine in to hand over to Ludovico Larini.
Yeah, I think Meyer's got about 3 laps that he can now run out, obviously in the next 5 minutes and 50, so he'll look to make the most of every single moment. Obviously, it's going to be a huge proving ground now for Jurian de Back to see what he can do in the final stint, to see whether he can carry the speed. We've got the Target Racing Ferrari now coming in as well. The number 18 will now make its necessary swap. Well, no swap actually, because Alessandri's going to take it all the way. But AF Motorsport also here with Jose Barros, who started the weekend relatively strongly, though have had their ups and downs in this particular race so far. There's your race leader, Paul Meyer. Babini now 2.8, nearly 2.9 in the rearview mirror in the distance. So a very comfortable position now for Paul Meyer. And they'll only have to serve the 10 seconds additional on top of the 65 as well. Sveps down in third now, inheriting these positions after the series of cars come in for their own driver changes. Larini also in and out on his out lap. We've got Marcondes in the pits. We've got Barros still in the pits right now. Leonov has inherited P5 and obviously still has to make his stop as well. But remember, he's also flying solo this weekend. Around the final corner comes Paul Meyer. Let's have a look at the last lap time. His previous lap was a 1:36.953. No personal bests across this lap so far, but we'll see whether he's thumping in further consistent times. 1:36.7 does indeed place him approximately 8/10 quicker than Fabio Babini over the last lap, which is exactly where you want to be.
Top 5 still to come into pit lane, and Paul Meyer's going to start coming up on traffic now. He's got the Target Racing Ferrari right in front of him on the racetrack. That's already been in and out of pit lane. Lead gap now 3.4 seconds since Meyer passed Babini, and then 9 seconds further back to Dieter Sveps it is, who still leads the AM category. Now 10 seconds out of Fernando Navarrete. Now remember that Navarrete got the early jump on Sveps for the AM lead, didn't he? Now there's 10 seconds between the top 2 in that category, and that's probably a good thing because Dieter Sveps will be taking 10 seconds of handicap in the stop as well, whereas the 19 from Tsunami is unhandicapped in this one as Paul Meyer makes his, well, attempts to make his way around Pierluigi Alessandri, but unfortunately that's the part of the track where the Ferrari's been monstrously quick with that 700 brake horsepower twin-turbo V6 engine.
I think his best chance will likely be at this very complex section of corners, and indeed it very nearly was, trying to get around the Target Racing Ferrari, and it looks like he's got a little bit of bodywork hanging off the back of it as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, some of the rear right.
This is awful for Meyer. He's having to really work hard to get around this car because Pierluigi Alessandri is not noticing the blue flags that are being displayed to the Target Racing car, but Meyer does eventually go through. That was a very heavily compromised lap, a 1:38.0, and no better time for Simone Iaquinta to do the fastest lap of the race on a 1:36.4 in the ZRS Motorsport car. He's closing in, so they are definitely behind Pietro Deli Guanti, but only by about a second and a half. Iaquinta actually is on the tail of Jose Barros, who's gained quite a bit in that pit stop phase. Yeah,
and obviously they've already served their time as well. They also had 10 seconds to rein in, much like Paul Meyer as well, so they're matching like for like on handicap.
And it is Larini, it is the bi-race car that's come out ahead, and next second is, well, we'll see when Meyer comes in, but the next car that's done its stop is Matteo Martinelli, so the 27 Fimes car is ahead of the championship contending car by 2.5 seconds, then Barros, then Iaquinta. Those guys are pretty close together. at the moment. So where are Maya and Babini going to feed out into that? That's the crucial question. Less than 2 minutes to go on the driver change window, so expect Maya to come in soon.
Yeah, Martinelli was also unhandicapped as well, as we now witness the what looks to be the number 77 of Jose Barros, swiftly moving on through past the 22 ZRS Motorsport car of Simone Quinta, but a little shaky moment from Barros will allow a move up the inside for Quinta to counteract the move that was made earlier by Barros, and indeed around the final corner, Quinta finds the answer.
Yeah, so that was Quinta hunting down Barros. He was ahead at the timing line by only a few hundredths of a second. Barros was able to fight back, but Quinta now consolidating the move. In comes the race leader, Paul Meyer, to hand over to Jurian de Back. An additional 10 seconds of handicap to be served by this car, but what a stint from Paul Meyer, up to second place from the back of the grid. And now it's over to young Jurian de Back, the 18-year-old Dutchman, as we're going to see the move again from Simone Quinta. This is to take what is, well, currently a net third, but we'll see when Meyer comes out. Runs it a little bit wide out of the final corner, but no major dramas there. As now Leandro Martins gets aboard the AM-leading number 911 car from LMR Motorsport, taking over from Dieter Sveps. And the two Fimes cars nose to tail, because Pietro Deli Guanti has passed the sister car of Matteo Martinelli and is now 6 seconds behind Ludovico Larini, who we expect to be your new race leader in a few minutes' time as the driver change window comes to a close. That's a swap between the two Fimes cars. One has been clearly ahead of the other all season long, so no surprise there, as Jurian de Back makes his way out onto the racetrack now into the fast lane and will soon release the limiter. He's been closely followed by Davide Scanicchio in that number 78 machine. Scanicchio now the amateur driver in that Pro-Am car aboard. So let's see if Lars Zanen it is can hunt him down.
Yeah, in comes Deli Guanti through turn one. Obviously chasing down after Larini, who should be, figuratively, the net race leader. There is Jurian de Back. And now making his way in towards the first corner, and sideways there for Deli Guanti. So much commitment coming through the first corner, and a shaky leg coming through turn two and through turn three as well. So it's Larini to Back, Scanicchio currently a top three right now, 3.1 seconds. Remember, Larini, of course, is part of the number 4 bi-race team that lost that rear right wheel after their excursion around the final corner in yesterday's race.
Well, would Fimes team have expected to be behind their championship rivals at this point in the race, bearing in mind they started last? But here we are, and with the great work of Paul Meyer in the first stint, it's now up to Jurian de Back to try and bring it home. 3.1 behind Ludovico Larini, your race leader. I'm sure that Pietro Deli Guanti will make quite short work of Davide Scanicchio and move himself up onto the overall podium. It's a flurry of silver class cars that are chasing him. This was the moment. Oh, now that was Scanicchio very nearly being released into the path of Jurian de Back there. It seemed like the lollipop guy changed his mind as soon as he was done there. But here comes Deli Guanti. It should be a relatively easy move to take third position away from the Pro-Am leader, and Deli Guanti goes through to about 2.5 seconds behind Jurian de Back, his title rival.
Yeah, this is going to be a true test now for Jurian de Back here at this point. Last lap, Ludovico Larini was 1:37.653. We're yet to see a true lap from Jurian de Back just yet. And as soon as we do, we can sort of measure the pace and see whether he's anywhere close to Larini's time as they make their way through the first sector. Scanicchio currently holding his own inside P4, but Matteo Martinelli, I think, is going to try and make short work of this for Fimes team. Could yet see them going line astern with 2 cars inside the top 4. A little bit sideways, extending a little bit too far there, Scanicchio, and Fimes team might yet sense an opportunity here, and indeed a late break perhaps in towards Quercia. And yes, indeed it will be. Lovely move from Matteo Martinelli, and the Italian now moves through into 4th place.
Central dramas for ZRS Motorsport, as Simone Quinta is already on his last warning for track limits, and the team manager has been asked to report to race control. He's got the move done on Scanicchio there and through into 5th position, but I wonder what that is about for to come to race control. No, dramas for the GDL car once again of Cassio De Mello, the 44 in the gravel, and it looks like it's going to be a second consecutive DNF for one of the championship contending cars in the AM category.
Yeah, very troubling indeed. And to be honest with you, if you are Hans Weiss at the moment, you know, a safety car wouldn't go amiss in terms of catching you back up with Laurini, but then again, you invite all the pressure from behind, don't you, as well, with Deli Guanti at the same time. So
Deli Guanti is closing in on Jurien de Back here, so although
2 seconds a lap quicker over the last lap.
Yeah, 38.6 for Jurien de Back, so he's getting up to speed. So it could well be the Farm Steam car ahead. It's advantage Hans Weiss Motorsport at the moment in terms of track position, but the pace very much with the Fimes car, and he's gone around the outside. Extraordinary move there from Pietro Deli Guanti around the outside at turn 4 and takes second position away and passes his championship rival wide out of turn 6 though. You won't care about that.
Well, the tussle that we saw and we witnessed, it was done figuratively over qualifying lap times earlier on this morning with Paul Meyer, who initially believed that P1 was going his way after quali. Well, instead it went the way of Matteo Lovisi, did it not? And now, this time, it's their co-drivers exchanging out on circuit, and it's Pietro Deli Guanti, again feathering the nest of Fimes team this time. Second place now, 4 tenths ahead of Jurien de Back, and now looking to put the work in to try and close up to Ludovico Laurini. If we take a look at the lap times from last out, Pietro Deli Guanti, 1:36.604, Laurini, 1:37.927. You're talking 1.3 seconds difference as we take a look at the bodywork getting shredded, and that's a tyre puncture.
Yep,
the
so
rear right has gone
so
for target.
I wonder if the bodywork damage you saw earlier has actually contributed to that
think
puncture.
it has.
George, with the bodywork rubbing up against the tyre. Safety
car
car has been deployed.
Goodness me.
And that is because we've got a car stopped at the gravel with the target car, and also Cassio De Mello still stricken in the gravel as well. And so that suddenly means that Pietro Deli Guanti, who seems like the fastest guy on the track at the moment, is suddenly going to be on the back of Ludovico Laurini. And even if it were to end like this, Fimes team would take the lead in the championship still.
Yeah, massive opportunity for the reigning champions to do something here. Obviously, we're going to take a look at this moment as well. The 22 of Simone Quinter, who is incidentally on his last warning for track limits at the moment as well. The race director, race control, were obviously observing the fact that they've been a little bit too liberal with track limits with this particular car. So now on its last warning. So if there's any misdemeanors further, Quinter could yet receive a time penalty as well, which will likely help the likes of Martinelli and Barros in behind.
And that's a bit of a disaster for Tsunami in terms of their Pro-Am car, because it will massively close the gap to their rivals who've got their quick driver in. So let's take stock. 20 laps completed, 15 minutes to go. Ludovico Laurini leads for the Bi-Race team, hunting for their first victory under their new name and their first victory of 2026. Pietro Deli Guanti was closing down the race leader, just taking second place away, the Fimes team car that would take the championship lead if it was to finish like this. Jurien de Back now in third position for the Hans Weiss Motorsport crew, and then Simone Quinter for ZRS Motorsport, Matteo Martinelli and Jose Barros. Davide Scanicchio leads the Pro-Am standings, and he has 4 AM cars between himself and his nearest class rival, Lars Zanen, for Hans Weiss Motorsport. That is Leandro Martins leading the AM category for LMR Motorsport, Evgeny Leonov, Fernando Pedrera, and Nelson Marcondes, as Cassio De Mello manages to get out of the gravel track, depositing most of it on the racetrack, but crucially the car now out of harm's way. And
to his credit, I think he was trying to do it on the painted section, so he's trying to shake it so it wouldn't go onto the track. But, you know, you just know that some of it is going to end up on the surface anyway.
Absolutely. And so the target car, hopefully not too far away from being extracted. And then we can get this race back underway. And surely it'll be all eyes on Pietro Deli Guanti, the 22-year-old from Vicol del Garno, former BVM racing driver in Italian F4, a winner with Giuseppe Mizzotti's squad that's here this weekend, a winner in Italian GT and Ferrari Cup, rookie champion last year in Italy. I'm sure we'll know this circuit incredibly well. And it's pressure on Ludovico Laurini, the young man from Fidenza. So we've got safety car in this lap, and we're going to find out. So it'll be about 11 or 12 minutes left on the clock when the safety car comes in.
Yeah, So now they need to make sure they've got everything in the right window. It's all going to be on Ludovico Laurini to time the jump and the restart to get it right. Obviously, the safety car will eventually break away. The lights will eventually switch off as well. Jurian de Back will be hoping that he can get a good restart. Obviously, we saw the pace deficit between himself and Deli Guanti, who is ever so experienced behind the wheel of these Porsche machines, and obviously with his work that he has done previously in the realms of single-seater with the likes of the Formula Regional European Championship as well alike. He'll be looking to cultivate yet grander form and potentially yet another victory going the way of Fime's team if they can unhook Laurini over that top spot. They are chasing victory number 3 this season.
Championship leads changing hands by the looks of it today, possibly for the first time since the first race of the season, which was when Fime's team took victory. It's been 2 apiece between Fime's team and Hans Weiss Motorsport in the first 4 races of the season. ZRS adding their name to the list yesterday. Will it be Fime's team again? Will Bi-Race add their name to the list? Will it be someone else? We're going to find out as Ludovico Laurini is really crawling them around these last couple of corners, leaving it very, very late in the day to get this race restarted. Still out of the last corner, he is not going. There's potentially some dramas further back with the concertina effect in there, but Jurian de Back now already under pressure as we get going once again, and de Back has got a car to the outside, and Deli Guanti going for the lead straight away around the outside of the first corner, and was that Jurian de Back going around the championship leader?
Jurian de Back around in turn 1 after Paul Meyer's brilliant stints. Their hopes and dreams have come to an end, and Pietro Deli Guanti going for the race lead around the outside now of Ludovico Laurini. Jurian de Back gone. That leaves Simone Quinta chasing back-to-back podiums after their successful expose around this circuit yesterday as they take the run. Not a great run for Deli Guanti that time. Maybe this will throw it to Simone Quinta. ZRS Motorsport looking for an improved position. A tight line here taken by Quinta. He's trying to force his way up the inside, coming out of Crasher corner there, wheel to wheel. On the run now, through towards the next ride. We run on board here with the 22. Can Ian Quinta hold on here and switch back? A beautiful move from Ian Quinta. Squinting, you'll miss him. Deli Guanti firing back as they tackle the home straight through towards the Caro corner.
Can ZRS Motorsport make it back-to-back victories now? Deli Guanti's not taking this line down there. They're on side by side through the fast section here. The triple right-hander absolutely flat out through here, but the ZRS Motorsport car does consolidate that move and immediately dives to the inside to try and defend it from his countryman. He knew exactly what Deli Guanti was thinking. Extraordinary scenes here. 10 minutes to go in the second race of the weekend for the GT Cup Europe Championship. It's the championship leader, though, down at the rear of the field with Jurian de Back getting turned around on the restart. This could be a dream day for the Fimes team now. Even if they don't make their way further up the grid, they'll still take the championship lead, and still the AM lead to be disputed there because Evgeny Leonov is on the back of Leandro Martins. Lars Zanen, meanwhile, has taken the lead in Pro-Am for the Hans Weiss Motorsport number 6 crew, but Ian Quinta now straight onto the back of the race leader, and Ian Quinta trying to make it back-to-back victories. Look how close he is through turn 6. He could already have a run on him. They both run wide onto the painted runoff area coming out of turn 6. Oh, big miss down at turn 5, though. That's a couple of the AM runners, and including one of the Pro-Am cars as well. So the number 19, the 44 in there as well. The number 19 of Fernando Pedrera, as Ian Quinta up wide and around through turns 9 and 10. Yellow flags at turn 5, unsurprisingly, with 3 cars in the wars there. But let's keep an eye out on Ian Quinta, and he'll be hoping he gets a move done before any call for a safety car, because then we run the risk of ending this race under caution. So through the right-handers we go once again. 8 minutes left on the clock, and Ian Quinta has set his sights on the Bi-Race car, but he's got to be careful for Deli Guanti behind him, because he will pounce if Ian Quinta leaves the door open.
No question. Deli Guanti will take full opportunity of this cork in the bottle situation that Laurini finds himself in, obviously just trying to protect his race lead, but Simone Quinta looking to deliver back-to-back race wins for the ZRS team at their home track here at Misano. What an occasion it would be for this youthful squad, with Pietro Armani also watching on in the garage at the same time. A better line again taken by Quinta. Slightly compromised exit coming out of turn 3 potentially for the Bi-Race team. Here comes now Quinta. Look up the inside again. The Bi-Race team hanging on barely with Laurini doing his damnedest. The car's still off on the grass, just on the outside. Yellow flag still raised at turn 5 as they now escape and tackle the back straight. We run on board here with the ZRS car of Simone Quinta in the tail. He's going to get the slipstream in the run in behind Deli Guanti as they take the tussle down through towards Quercia, and he squeezes the Bi-Race runner Ludovico Laurini. Simone Quinta from P3 to race lead after the safety car is now leading them round here at Misano.
Laurini tried to fight that one back, but he had Deli Guanti on the inside there as well. So Quinta opened up the door, and the Farms car tried to follow him through there, but it didn't quite work out for him. And ZRS Motorsport now could be making it back-to-back victories in GT Cup Europe as Quinta takes to the front now and has the fastest lap of the race to boot as well. But this is not done by a long shot. Deli Guanti almost into the back of the Bi-Race car as he looks down the inside into Curva del Caro.
Yeah, had a good look there, Deli Guanti, but the door was slammed shut again by the Bi-Race runner of Ludovico Laurini. This is going to frustrate Deli Guanti somewhat. The Fives team, the reigning champions, looked to be set. It looked to be promised that they would take the race lead away eventually from Laurini, but the safety car opening up this opportunity, and quite rightly Longoni feeling the heat in this situation because they're on the cusp of potentially going back to back at their home racetrack. Absolutely massive for them as far as their championship charge. They only took their first win yesterday. They couldn't make it 2 in one weekend as here comes Deli Guanti. Another look around the outside again, but denied by Bi-Race's Laurini. A little touch of the rear for good measure.
Marshall's on the scene at turn 5. Yellow flag still being waved out there.
Talk about spicy, Chris.
Yeah, isn't it just? 6 minutes to go. Deli Guanti popped into the inside there, but wasn't able to get the move done. Lovely up and under, though, but still just looking at the back of the Bi-Race car in front of him as Quinta starts to stretch his legs at the front of the field. And Laurini knew exactly what Deli Guanti was attempting to do. They covered that off into turns 9 and 10 very nicely, but 1.4 seconds the advantage for Simone Quinta as Laurini tries to shut the door there on Deli Guanti, who has got the run out of turn 10 and now to the outside at 11 and 12. We go flat out through here. He'll be on the wrong line when they get into the braking zone at 14, unless he can bring it over to driver's right. But again, Laurini has got that one covered. Yeah,
defensive-minded there without question, but he had a slightly compromised exit coming through the back straight. Deli Guanti, though, getting a better run around the sequence of lefts, and now down this next semi-straight before they tackle one final left-hander before then venturing down past the pit lane on the left-hand side and taking the stripe once again with 4 minutes and just under 50 to go. Here comes now Deli Guanti, still just pushing and prodding this Bi-Race car, inviting as well at the same time Barros and Martinelli arriving in on the podium scrap as well. Barros seemingly from the clouds, now looking to join Laurini and Deli Guanti this time.
And Evgeny Leonov has taken the lead in the AM category as well. Meanwhile, sideways for Deli Guanti going into turn 4. Enter Jose Barros and Matteo Martinelli here as well. 4 minutes to go, and it's just, it's been an extraordinary 50 minutes of racing, hasn't it?
It's been absolutely special. We love to witness it. Deli Guanti looking to witness a move up into second. Denied, though, again. The defensive mind of Ludovico Laurini is certainly underrated, it has to be said. He has done a spectacular job of keeping this trio of runners in behind him right now. Oh, my goodness me! Oh!
Both of the championship contending cars are out of this race. Extraordinary stuff. Pietro Deli Guanti contact with Ludovico Laurini. The Bi-Race's car's hopes of a podium finish surely dashed with that one. So that promotes Barros and Martinelli up to second and third. But it's going to be surely no points for De Back and Meyer, and now no points for the Fives team.
Well, if anything, that's great news if you are Hans Weiss Motorsport, if you are Jurian De Back and Paul Meyer, because it means your mainstay challengers are now out of the race. They're not scoring, Chris.
All they had to do was get to the checkered flag and they'd be leading here, leaving here with the championship lead. Extraordinary. So now that means that Jose Barros is on course for his first podium since the first meeting of the season in Portimao, and the first podium finish for the 27 crew as well.
We'll take a look at this moment now. Just look at that, Teddy Kwanzi. The gap
There was no gap
there. He took a line that just didn't exist.
And poor Ludovico Laurini, his superb defensive effort there, coming to a premature close.
Yeah, there was no gap. And fortunately just committed all four wheels onto the curb and then some onto the grass. And this is the recompense he gets. Into the barrier. Safety car has been deployed, everybody. So they'll have to come down to Delta in conformance to race control's decision.
And that will likely be a safety car finish. And well, they've got to decide which order they were in. What an extraordinary race, and a shame to end it under caution. That was really, really entertaining up until that unfortunate moment. So it will be ZRS Motorsport who make it back-to-back victories here in Misano. Almost a clean sweep of the weekend, starting on the front row of the grid today. And the first safety car. Perfect timing for Simone Iaquinta to charge his way through the order. 27 laps completed. The 28th, I imagine, will be the last. So, and Evgeny Leonov will take his first victory in the AM Championship as well. His first... Oh, now, hang on a minute. Let's see here, because as we can see, the moment again that Iaquinta took the race lead. Now, did Evgeny Leonov... I don't think Evgeny Leonov ended up taking a victory in his first stint in GT Cup, did he? He came damn close.
He came close a few times, yeah.
Yes, but didn't actually manage to get it done. So this will be his first win in GT Cup Europe. So not a bad effort there. And then a second victory of the season for Zainan and Salub in the Pro-Am category.
This is well and truly thrusted Longoni and Iaquinta into the championship fray. I mean, they can effectively write off the two races at Portimao through the drop scores. And aside from that, I mean, they're on 50 points. There'll be 7 points behind Yuri Anderbach and Paul Meyer at the close of this. So that's, I mean, that is exceptional for them in one weekend to basically bring themselves back into the mix.
Yes, because, this will put them on 50 with, no points for either of the top two. So suddenly it's 3 cars fighting for the championship, now separated by 7 points as we move into the second half of the season. Wow. Timing and scoring has confirmed this is the last lap. And as we saw, the epic overtake from Simone Iaquinta to take the lead into Quercia corner. And as we said, that safety car couldn't have come at a better time. And they will thrust themselves into championship contention now after what has been a pretty wild 50 minutes of racing in GT Cup Europe.
Pleasure to watch, though.
A fantastic first visit to Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. And so the safety car will peel in. It will look like a standard safety car restart, but there'll be no overtaking until they reach the timing line. And so Simone Iaquinta meets the checkered flag. Back-to-back victories for ZRS Motorsport in Misano. And they throw their hat into the championship ring. Jose Barros bags his second podium finish of the season. And a first podium for Matteo Martinelli and Giacomo Pedrini for the Fimes team. Evgeny Leonov becomes a race winner in GT Cup Europe for the first time with victory in the AM category. And Lars Zainan and Fagani Saluba pick up a second Pro-Am win in 2026.
Stellar stuff for Iaquinta, doing the necessary around Quercia corner to take the lead of the race and marching home with back-to-back wins for ZRS Motorsport. And now the championship very much squarely falls between 3 cars, at least 4 now. We're only at the halfway stage, though. We've still got Paul Ricard, Monza and Barcelona to come. It's going to be mouth-watering if it's anything like we have witnessed today. all of you folks at home tuning in are going to be in for a treat. Credit to Jose Barros, yet another return to the podium. He finished second back at Portimao race 1, and for the second time this season he finishes second here in the GT Cup Europe. Take us through the results, Chris.
ZRS Motorsport pick up a second win for Simone Iaquinta and Ludovico Longoni in the number 22. Jose Barros, a second podium finish of the season, and a first for Matteo Martinelli and Giacomo Pedrini for the Fimes team. Evgeny Leonov picks up his first AM victory for Volcano Motorsport, with Lars Einen and Fagani Saluba for Hans Weiss Motorsport picking up the Pro-Am win. Dieter Sveps and Leandro Martins on the AM podium, along with Hans Weiss and Rick van Zweden. The Pro-Am podium completed by Matthias Russo and Stefano Zerbi for SP Racing, and Borja Garcia and Alejandro Barambio. But the critical thing there, Jurian de Bach, Paul Meyer, Matteo Levisi, Pietro Deliguanti, 0 points, still 3 points separating them, but now with Iaquinta and Longoni just 7 points back as we reach the halfway mark in the championship.
Brilliant result, a very key result if you're Simone Iaquinta, and also for his teammates, Ludovico Longoni. Pietro Armani, I'm sure, was smiling as well, along with the rest of the team, having represented the squad in GT Cup Europe last season. Now he's in the International GT Open. They will celebrate a dream weekend at Misano. Perfection for ZRS Motorsport. Well done, Simone Iaquinta, bringing the car home in great style, and it's always nice to see the moves being made at Quecha Corner as well.
The celebrations in Parc Ferme, and Jose Barros very happy with that one. Big embrace down in Parc Ferme for the Portuguese driver, the 21-year-old, who's primarily racing in the Iberian regions, now spreading out across Europe as they get the all-important selfies for the Instagram, I'm sure. Helmet off for Simone Iaquinta. I'm sure it's very hot underneath those overalls in the balaclava, and the waters will be on standby, but posing for the photos. Photo Speedy getting the pics for us. And a big result there for ZRS Motorsports. Watched on by Pietro Armani and Alex Fontana, I'm sure. First podium for the 27 crew of Matteo Martinelli and Giacomo Pedrini in the Fimes team by Ebby Motors car. A second podium for Jose Barros at AF Motorsport, matching his best finish in the championship after late dramas for cars ahead. But for the second time this season, the top spot goes to ZRS Motorsport, Simone Iaquinta and Ludovico Longoni.
So double win for Ludovico Longoni and Simone Iaquinta in another very, very lively race. Your bit was the quiet one, let's say.
Yes, I just started the race. All I did was manage again. Stayed behind the front guys. Just looked at the tires for Simone, and then gave him the car and all for the best. I knew what he was capable of. So yeah, let's say that he exceeded our expectations. So great race.
And Simone, the warrior, had to fight a little bit, but magnificent duels and battles, and eventually victory.
Yeah, today the weather in Misano, it's really hot. Out inside of the car was a big fight, but every overtake, it's correct. I'm very fine. The car was very good. Thank you very much to the team, the sponsor, and Ludovico.
Well done, guys. Enjoy it.
Let's see how it unfolded then. It was Matteo Levisi who led them from pole position, but the ZRS car, Ludovico Longoni, making the forward progress, getting up to second position. That did come under fire from the by-race car of Diego Stifter, who did briefly take second before Fabio Babini squeezed his Tsunami car through to the inside All eyes on Paul Meyer, though, as he charged up the order from the back of the grid, eventually taking second place away from Fabio Babini before the pit stop window opened. Drivers into the pits to change over drivers, and it was Ludovico Larini who initially led after the pit stop sequence. Pietro Deli Guanti charging his way through. Davide Scanicchio taking over from Babini, falling down the order as the silver class drivers made their way through. Simone Iaquinta, that was the first of many moves the Italian would make on his way to victory. Safety car restart though, and it was Deli Guanti who immediately challenged, and Yuri Unterbach getting pitched round on the safety car restart. The championship leader scoring no points. Simone Iaquinta charging his way through the lead of the race, putting ZRS Motorsport on top, just ahead of Ludovico Larini, whose staunch defence of second place came to an end when Deli Guanti went into the side of him, taking them both out of the race, the top two in the championship, scoring no points, and ZRS Motorsport throwing their hat into the ring for the championship with a second victory of 2026.
Well, I mean, I want to say this, Chris. We now have 3 different cars that have managed to garner 2 wins apiece through the course of this season. So not only are the points starting to converge now with 3 cars, we've now got 3 cars that have had the same number of victories across the course of this season so far.
Yeah, extraordinary stuff as we see Matteo Martinelli and Giacomo Pedrini on the podium. Jose Barros with a big smile on his face, but I'm sure the biggest smiles will be Ludovico Longoni's and Simone Iaquinta's as they head to the top step of the podium for the second time this weekend, and we'll hear the Italian national anthem. The Italian national anthem ringing out in Misano. ZRS Motorsport on top on home soil with 2 Italian drivers now in the championship hunt. Big moment for the second FIMES team crew there, as they've been struggling for pace so far this season, but now picking up their first podium as well. And a big smile on Jose Barros' face. His first appearance on the podium since the first race of the season back in Portimao, where he finished second. Matches his best finish of the season. As the circuit representative hands the winning trophies to Simone Iaquinta and Ludovico Longoni. Longoni, his 4th win in the championship after wins in Portimao and Paul Ricard last year alongside Pietro Armani. Iaquinta's second, of course, having joined the team from Spa onwards. And looking a very, very strong combination indeed when we head to Paul Ricard in just over a month's time. It's the 18th of July. We'll be back racing again, and well, everybody's bailing out of there pretty quickly.
Not wasting any time. Obviously, no need to wash the overalls just yet. Of course, that brings Misano weekend to a close. And if anything, more questions than answers heading to Paul Ricard as to how the second half of the season is going to unwrap, because it is far from clear, despite our initial impressions going into Portimao.
Very much so. Number 1 from Fagani Salub there. Been waiting for that one for a little bit. Hans Weiss Motorsport back on top in the Pro-Am category.
Slight contrast to yesterday. They've now got two lots of cars appearing on the podium.
Does help them close down the gap in the championship a little bit. So 7 points before this race. So they will close in by 4 points, so 3 points separating the top 2 in that championship. But it's GT Corsa once again on the podium. it is only one race this season so far that they haven't finished on their class podium, including 3 victories. It's second for Matthias Russo and Stefano Zerbi on SP Racing's return to GT Cup Europe. But for the second time this season, it's Lars Zanen and Vigani Salub who finish on the top step of the podium in the Pro-Am category. Lars Zanen, no stranger to the top step after several years in this championship with Q1 track racing, now with the Dutch Hans Weiss team.
Trophies being presented to the P2 sitters in Pro-Am. Matthias Russo bringing the car home. P7 overall, a fantastic effort from this outfit to obviously garner some silverware again this weekend. Hans Weiss can celebrate. Come and join the rest. It's picture time. Well, the other GT Corse have already bailed.
Matthias getting a little bit left out there, wasn't he? But, GT Corse are not wasting any time and spraying the champagne straight away. The celebrations on the podium, always a joy to see as the drivers can take a moment to celebrate the hard work, and I'm sure the cool champagne will be welcome on what is a very hot day in Misano. So one podium left to go, and it's celebrating a new winner in GT Cup. Evgeny Leonov, a regular in the championship a couple of years ago as an overall contender, since been downgraded to a bronze driver, now fighting for AM honours, as Hans Weiss and Rick van Zweden, championship leaders in the AM category, move on to the third step on the podium, and once again their nearest rivals not scoring points thanks to some incidents, so that is going to help them somewhat as Leandro Martins and Dieter Sveps round out a solid weekend, a win and a second place finish. But for the first time, Evgeny Leonov on the top step of the podium for Volcano Motorsport.
Rock and roll for Evgeny Leonov. Aviators and all on show. He's going to need that, as well as the sun descends here on Misano. Luckily enough, our commentary box has been tinted for the occasion.
Yeah, it's a bit more Top Gun for Volcano there, isn't it?
Feeling the heat.
Yes. And good celebrations. Hendrik Martins also donning the shades for this occasion. But big celebrations for Evgeny. Been a long time coming. Has done a good couple of years in this championship and has been a strong contender back when he was fighting for overall honours before we had the silver class being introduced. But that rounds out the weekend here in Misano for GT Cup Europe. We head to Paul Ricard on the 18th of July. We'll see you then.